Why are we going to bother using a tripod?
For camera steady.
Keep the camera steady, right? Because amateur video, you can see it a mile away. It's usually got that unsteady camera work. I'm sure if I went and looked at a lot of your home movies from you when you were little kids, your parents probably spent a lot of time chasing you around with a handheld camera. And it ends up almost kind of dizzying, or you can kind of feel nauseous when you're watching it on screen. Some TV shows like CSI might look like they're doing everything handheld and very jerky. That's usually just for visual effect. Chances are they've still got the camera supported somehow. It might even be someone with the camera shoulder mounted, somebody standing behind them and shaking them just a little bit to get that effect. But they're not just walking around hand holding the camera. So we use the tripod to keep the shot steady, right? A little bit of tripod anatomy as we start to get it set up. What do you suppose these are called? The legs of the tripod. What do you suppose this is called? The head of the tripod, okay? The legs of the tripod, we call it a tripod because there's 3 legs, and those are what give the tripod the stability. So in order to set up the legs, we're going to just simply pull them apart. This tripod is designed for video use, and it has what's called a spreader in here, just to keep the legs at equal distance apart, and it makes it really easy to set up. So I mean, that may be all you need to do for your shot. These little feet should be kept in a downward position like this, okay, especially on a surface like this, which is fairly smooth. Okay? And that'll keep it from shifting around. Now, unless you're doing a low angle shot where you've got the tripod quite low, chances are you're probably going to want to raise it up at some point. Okay? Keeping the tripod level is really important. Okay? Imagine panning, which is like looking from left to right. If the camera's not level when you start panning, the camera will start here and it will start to drift downward as you pan across the shot. Okay? So it has to be level. In order to help us keep it level, there is a bubble level on the tripod. It's this little clear window here. It's a little hard to see. It's basically a little air bubble trapped inside a black ring so that you can see when the bubble lines up and is sitting inside the circle. You'll see it from underneath. Okay? The fastest way to get the tripod a little higher with the legs at the same height. Lots of people will pick up a tripod and they'll loosen one of these clamps and they'll drop one leg down. They'll spread it out, they'll drop another leg down, and then they'll spend a lot of time fiddling with the bubble level, trying to get the legs at equal height to get it level. The faster way to do it is to collapse the tripod, okay? Loosen up these leg adjustments here for a second. Okay? Loosen them all up, and just let all the legs down, okay? Let them all fall down into the same height. Okay? So then you'll get the 3 of them at almost exactly the same height right off the bat, then just tighten it up quickly. And now we've got all 3 legs at pretty much the same height. Okay? And I can look on the bubble level on the tripod back here, and it's actually pretty close. Okay, so that's the legs. You want to make sure that the legs are far apart. Okay? Otherwise it's not going to be very stable. Come stand for a second. Okay. If we were up on the field playing football, okay? Stand with your feet together. Okay? If we're standing in the field and we're playing football, and I come up and I give you a shove like this, it's easy for you to lose balance because your feet are together like this. But if your feet are further apart, okay, and you have a more stable stance, now when I come up and I bump into you, you stay where you are. Okay, that's good. So same thing with the tripod. Don't let me see you set up the tripod like this. Okay? And I see this every semester. Right? You're just waiting for it to fall over. So spread the legs out, and that'll keep it steady. Okay? For the head of the tripod, you're going to have to take a closer look at it later because there are a number of little knobs and levers here that loosen it up. For instance, there's one on the side right here, loosens up. That allows me to pan the head from left to right. So this is panning from left to right. We haven't mounted the camera on here yet, but you can imagine the camera sitting here and I'm able to pan from left to right. If I want to lock it in that position, I can just snug that up. And by snug, I mean just finger tight. Don't overdo it, or we'll strip and damage the tripod. So I'll move it back this way, that's panning. I also have the ability to tilt up or down. Okay, so there's 2 controls for tilting. There's a wheel on this side here, and there's a wheel here. This one adjusts the tension. Okay, so if I crank this up higher, it's stiffer, it's harder to move the head up or down. That's good for a lightweight camera. If you have a big heavy camera, you may want it a bit looser. If I want to lock it in a position, that's when I can turn this other knob on the other side and it will stay in that position now until I unlock it, and then it will loosen up again. These are fluid-filled heads. There's sort of a thick, oily type fluid that's inside the joints on here, almost like your own joints in your knees or elbows. And that's what gives it a fluid, smooth quality. So it'll give a nice, even, steady image.